Wide receiver Noah Brown is out for the season, but the Washington Commanders turn around and caught KJ Osborn off of waivers. So we're going to take a look at both of those situations and do a preview for Sunday's game versus the New Orleans Saints. Come on now, rock with your boy next on Washington Football Maniacs. Woo! What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again. Before we get into tonight's content, if you're not a member of the Washington Football Maniacs, definitely strongly consider becoming a full-time, full-fledged member because we have a lot of fun over here at the Washington Football Maniacs. Like I said, we go live after most games. Things happen here and there. Sicknesses, especially this time of the year, do happen. But we try to keep you guys up to date with all and everything surrounding the Washington Commanders. So definitely strongly consider becoming a full-fledged member and support our channel. So tonight, we have a lot to talk about. Noah Brown is out for the season, but they pick up another receiver through waivers in KJ Osborn. So we're going to look at Noah Brown, who should step up or who could potentially step up in his absence. KJ Osborn, what can he provide in the nation's capital? And take a look at a quick preview for Sunday's game at New Orleans against the New Orleans Saints. So first things first, Noah Brown. As I just said, Noah Brown is out for the remainder of the regular season. Noah Brown was signed just before the season after certainly playing with both the Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys at one point. The 28-year-old Noah Brown immediately made his presence felt for the Washington Commanders. And the one highlight is obviously his game-winning Hail Mary catch week 8 versus the Chicago Bears. He'll always get much love for that one because that was a close game. But like I said, Noah Brown is out for the remainder of the year dealing with an internal injury. So the question is, first things first, thank you for your service. He came in here, he played a role, number 2 wide receiver opposite of Terry McLaurin, did well doing it. Now, at times, they really did game plan. There was times we saw Noah Brown very active at the number 2 role. You saw De'Ami Brown, number 2 role, sometimes in the 4th receiver. In the slot, they moved the receivers around a lot, and that includes Terry McLaurin because if you look at the previous game versus the Tennessee Titans, I felt like they did a good job really spreading around Terry McLaurin to different areas. He played in the slot, he played on the outside. So you see him kind of do that with everybody. You see De'Ami Brown. The one thing is Terry is always the number 1 guy, but you've seen a healthy mix of Noah Brown, De'Ami Brown, and Luke McCaffrey and Olamide Zacchaeus. So he's another guy who has definitely played good football over there, wide receiver for the Commanders and in special teams. So again, thank you for your service. Came in here, he did his job, but unfortunately, he is out for the remainder of the season. So the question is, real quick, who do we look to step up? Because we're going to talk about KJ Osborn, but who steps up as the number 2 option opposite of Terry McLaurin? Now, at this point, without Noah Brown, you have to really look at it as a 2-horse race. It's probably between Zacchaeus and De'Ami Brown. Now, Luke McCaffrey, I've made it known before that I think he's best served in the slot with his size and his capabilities. He's best as a number 3 or number 4 receiver. And De'Ami Brown does give you the opportunity to kind of throw that deep ball. So, and Zacchaeus is a guy who's kind of a jack of all trades. He can catch a slant, he can go on the outside. But Zacchaeus, to me, with his size, to me, is the best fit in the slot. So you're probably looking at the Commanders relegating Luke McCaffrey at number 4, which is not a bad situation because with KJ Osborn, like I said, we're going to talk about him in a minute, but with him being claimed off waivers, you do have a 5th receiver, and we do have other options behind him at receiver. But to me, you're probably looking at De'Ami Brown as number 2. And look, this late in the season, I don't have any problem with that. Obviously, we can't go out there and make a move at the deadline. And really, I think De'Ami Brown has shown enough this season to where give him a chance to be the number 2, at least for the rest of the season. And then in all season, you got to really make that decision of whether you go out there in the draft and get that number 2 opposite Scary Terry, aka Terry McLaurin, or do you go through trades or the free agent market? T. Higgins is another name that has been connected to the Washington Commanders, but we'll worry about that in the offseason. I think that right now, De'Ami Brown could definitely step up and be that number 2 opposite of Terry McLaurin. And then again, I would definitely put Zacchaeus at the slot because I believe he's 5'8", so I think he'd be money in the slot. And you'd probably look at Luke McCaffrey. So because here's the thing with Luke McCaffrey, you see the potential, you see massive potential with what he could do as a slot receiver or just a receiver overall. But he is a converted quarterback, so he's a guy who's still learning how to be a pro wide receiver. So put him in number 4. You can even argue to a certain degree, maybe 5, now that you have a guy in KJ Osborn that has some experience in the league, and develop him. Because we have a really good situation here in DC where, yes, we were better than expected. We're a team that is a fringe team that's going to be a force in the NFC East for years to come, especially if you look at a lot of things going on in the NFC East. Jalen Hurts, how long does he have in Philly? People are already calling for him to be replaced. Nick Sirianni, does he survive the season? The Cowboys, McCarthy, I see him being unemployed a lot sooner than later. And they have a lot of issues and a lot of questions with their roster. And then the Giants, they're just a dumpster fire. So you really start with that team. So the Commanders have a chance to emerge as the next best team in the NFC East. Now, this season, I do believe we are a playoff team, but we're also a team that probably won't get past the wild card or divisional rounds. And the reason for that is we still need that playoff experience. So, like I said, looking at number two, getting back to the point, going back to number two, opposite Terry McLaurin, I think De'Ami Brown's your guy because he would definitely add another threat at the deep ball. We definitely want to see Jaden Daniels throw that deep ball a lot more, and he's shown the capability to do so. De'Ami Brown gives you another weapon on the outside, and Terry McLaurin, he's going to play predominantly on the outside, but you could see him going to the slot. And I think that's a good decision to kind of play him around in different areas and receivers. So to me, if you look at who's going to step up next, I'm saying that De'Ami Brown should be number two. You probably look at Zacchaeus at number three, Luke McCaffrey at 4 or 5, and in cohort with KJ Osborn. So we already brought him up, KJ Osborn. KJ Osborn was former New England Saints wide receiver. He was claimed off of waivers. So let's take a look at some stuff about KJ Osborn. He is 27 years old. He was released by the Patriots on Monday after signing with New England this past offseason. So far, he has caught 7 passes, 1 touchdown during his brief time in New England. So very uneventful, but he's a guy who, if you look at his frame of work in Minnesota, he played 3 years in Minnesota where he caught 158 passes for 15 touchdowns. And, he actually caught a career high 7 touchdowns during the 2021 NFL season. So he's a guy who could definitely play. It adds more depth, adds more talent to the wide receiver situation. Now, obviously, in the offseason, whether in the draft, in the trade market, or in free agency, you want to upgrade at number 2. You want a legit number 2, if not another number 1 receiver opposite of Terry McLaurin to take a lot of the pressure off of Scary Terry, because people don't realize how many quarterbacks, how many coordinators, and how many years that Terry McLaurin has been with his organization. And he continues to put up quality numbers. And this year is definitely his best year. And the reason for that, consistency at the quarterback position. I think that Jaden Daniels has done wonders for Terry McLaurin. And likewise, I think Terry McLaurin has definitely took a lot of pressure off of Jaden Daniels. But, KJ, getting back to KJ Osborn, he can play. Like I said, there's more talent added to the wide receiver situation. He's another deep threat. Go back to his years in Minnesota. So he will now look to build some rapport with Jaden Daniels, because I think he's a guy who's definitely going to get on the field. Now, the question is how much. But again, depth is a beautiful thing. You add another wide receiver who has NFL experience and has shown that he can play at a high level. So, where they play him, we'll see. I don't see him as being the number 2 guy. I think De'Ami Brown's going to be that guy. You could see Zacchaeus, but Osborn does add more experience and a lot more capabilities to the wide receiver situation in the nation's capital. So you guys get into the comment section and let me know what you guys think. All right, let's get into the preview for Sunday's game at New Orleans, because if you don't know, you should know that the Washington Commanders will be heading to New Orleans, the Big Easy that is, to face the New Orleans Saints. So let me pop up because I just had it, but the Athletic is giving me a run for my money real quick. So let's take a look at the schedule real quick, everybody. Bear with me. My apologies. But like I said, I still think it's a must-win game. I think it's a must-win game. You have to win in New Orleans. Tennessee was, Tennessee was that first must-win game. And that's definitely a game where it was a good win for us, because you want to win heading into the bye week. But let's be real. You can't take anybody lightly on this schedule. So picking up the remainder of the schedule, again, guys, on Sunday, 1:00 game. So definitely tune in. It's gonna be on Fox for you guys on the radios on BIG 100.3. So definitely tune in for that if you listen via radio. I mean, in 2024, look, it is what it is. But I'm sure there's still people out there on the radio. So again, guys, definitely show support. 1:00 game at New Orleans. Is it a must-win game? Yes, because if you look at Week 16, we are home against Philly. That is a pivotal game. Then you have Atlanta. Then you have at Dallas. So the next 3 games could go either way. The Eagles, I still think, is a winnable game for us, even though they humbled us. Both them and the Cowboys. And, Also the Steelers, they humbled us. They kind of brought us down to earth real quick. I think that you have to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, especially if you want to really challenge in the NFC East. And we're going to pull up the NFL standings real quick and see if we have a legitimate chance to catch up to Philadelphia. But like I said, I was very surprised to see that Eagles fans were like ready to get rid of Jalen Hurts. Like, I mean, you can argue he's not the problem. I mean, does he have a slice of the pie when it comes to the problem in Philadelphia? Yeah, I mean, as a quarterback, you definitely want to see him pass the ball more. There's been a lot of friction between him and AJ Brown. And Devontae Smith. But I think Nick Sirianni, he doesn't get out scot-free. I think you can look at several factors why Philadelphia Eagles aren't where, and you can't really say aren't where they want to be because they're still a playoff team. So looking at the standings real quick, we have an 8-5 record there at 11-2. So 4 games left. Realistically, could we catch them? Yeah, but we're probably looking like a wild card team, and that's fine. Look, it doesn't matter, if you want to go to a Michael Jackson concert, when he was still alive, obviously. But does it matter if you're on the front row or you just want to be in the building, right? So, in that situation, you just want to be in the playoffs at this point because you're already showing significant progress from former regimes, especially under Ron Rivera. A playoff berth this season really solidifies what the Commanders are trying to do. New ownership under Josh Harris. Josh Harris has been an immaculate owner. I mean, he's in a hard situation, especially with the stadium. Even though with the whole logo situation, me and Greg have already kind of covered that base with the logo, how we feel. So definitely check out that episode. But he's definitely getting things started, and you definitely see some light at the end of the tunnel in regards to eventually having a new stadium. Now it's gonna get harder before it gets easier, and he still has to upgrade Northwest Stadium, which is the worst stadium in the NFL. So he's got a hard situation, but he has definitely shown that he can be the man for the job. Other ownership, Magic Johnson, we know who the immaculate record he is as a businessman and an executive in Major League Baseball, and his connections to the National Basketball Association through the Lakers. So, and then Mitchell Rails. The list goes on. We have an ownership group where they have been successful in the realm of sports, in the realm of business, in the realm of entertainment. We have an ownership group that prioritizes putting a product on the field that is a winning product. So, new GM Adam Peters has proven that he is probably one of the best, if not the best, young up and coming general managers in the NFL. He has proven that already with good moves in the free agent market this previous offseason. Look at the draft, picked up a lot of good high impact players in the draft, and in the trade for Marshawn Lattimore, which is if when you look at the New Orleans Saints game, Lattimore just got traded from Saints, so you best believe he is going to play at a high level in New Orleans against his former team. So to be able to go out there and get an all-pro corner, you don't see those type of trades under the previous regimes. And then looking at coaching, a lot of people were looking at Ben Johnson, but to me, I do feel like we found the right coach in Dan Quinn. He's a guy who's definitely the right man for the job here in the nation's cap. So again, looking at the schedule, you could argue that yes, New Orleans is a must-win game. You have to win at New Orleans because 4 games left, 8-5. You lose 4 in a row, you are an 8-9 team. So, and you go from wild card hopeful to a team that probably look on the outside looking in, hoping somebody is tripping just like we are. So you have to win New Orleans because Philadelphia is a big time game at home. The Atlanta Falcons, they kind of been struggling as of late, especially Kirk Cousins? Absolutely. But with him being a former Redskins quarterback, you best believe he's going to come in Washington trying to get a win against his old team. And in Dallas, we know Dallas is a dumpster fire, but let's be real. They proved us early this season that you cannot sleep on divisional games. It doesn't matter who you're playing with, as the Giants, Cowboys, Eagles, you're going to play high quality football in the NFC East. It's going to be a playoff atmosphere, and Dallas proved that. So you cannot look at the Dallas game and say, all right, it's already won, because we made that mistake already. They are going to play us hard. So you have to look at the last 3 games as, it could go either way. I think the Falcons are a winnable game. I think all 4 are winnable games. It's just, and I think we did learn a lesson as far as game planning against the Eagles and the Cowboys. So I do think we're going to have much more competitive games, even though the last 2 against our divisional foes have been high quality games. But I think we're definitely going to play the Cowboys and the Eagles a lot tougher because, look, they both snuck us, man. They sucker punches. They humbled us. And I think we're going to be a lot more locked in hitting into those 2 matchups because we're a playoff team, and those are division foes that we have to try to win those games. So, again, guys, I'm looking at the situation with the Saints. I definitely think it's a must-win game. They just lost Derek Carr for the year, so you're looking at Spencer Rattler at quarterback. So put pressure on him. That's going to be one keys to victory right there. Put pressure on the quarterback, right? Force him to make those quick reads. Force him to make those quick decisions. Force him, to start running the ball. Force him to the outside. Number two, that you have a running back in Alvin Kamara, man, that is going to humble this defense, and we do not lock down the run. We've got to slow down the run. Because between him, you got Taysom Hill, who is a Swiss Army knife, a jack of all trades. There's some capabilities with the team. Now, they are dealing with a lot of injuries at receiver. They're dealing with a lot of injuries at quarterback. Taysom Hill, I believe. Well, I didn't brought his name, but I believe he's out also, if not for the year, because I had him on fantasy. So I believe he's out. So they're missing a lot of weapons, but do not sleep on them. That's the biggest thing that's the biggest mistake that we always make in Washington is that we play down to opponents. We kind of underrate them. Look, any given Sunday, any team can win any given Sunday in this league, and we have to win this game because, like I said, no rest for the weary. You got Philadelphia, Dallas, and Atlanta up next, and 2 out of 3 are home games. So that does give you an advantage to a certain point, even though we know how Eagles games are at Northwest Stadium. It can tend to be a home game for the Eagles, but like I said, that narrative is slowly changing in the nation's cap. So you guys get in the comment section. We already did 2 keys. Let's do a third key to victory. Utilize the weapons you have on offense. You just add another receiver. Definitely want to see Terry McLaurin do his thing. This is looking like his best career season. But definitely have to spread the ball around. Get the tight ends a lot more involved, in my opinion. Because right now, obviously, Austin Eckler is still out dealing with a concussion. So B-Rob, Chris Rodriguez, and McNichols definitely want to see the running back room be very, very active on the ground and have a nice balanced offense. So that would be my 3 keys to victory. Pressure the quarterback, force them to make those quick reads, force them to use your legs, force them to make those quick decisions. Number 2, shut down the run. Kamara is a guy who would definitely humble you. And then number 3, utilize the weapons we have on offense. And, we definitely have a lot of weapons. If you look at the running back, wide receiver, and tight end, get those tight ends a lot more involved. So you guys get in the comment section and let me know what you guys think. Who wins this game? What score and why? Because I'm predicting right now Washington Commanders victory, and the score will be 28-10 in New Orleans. So again, 1 o'clock on Fox. Definitely tune in. So look, guys, appreciate you guys always rock with us over here at Washington Football Maniacs. We talked about a lot tonight. Noah Brown out for the season. KJ Osborn claimed off waivers, adding more depth and talent to the wide receiver situation. And must-win game in New Orleans? Could be, but it does not get easier from there. So, all right, everybody, we will see you guys on Sunday. We're going to do a live recap to the Commanders and New Orleans Saints matchup. So definitely tune in for that. All right, everybody, definitely appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day just to watch our content and support us. And again, if you're not a member, definitely strongly consider being a full-fledged member of the Washington Football Maniacs. And if we haven't proved ourselves yet, give us till Sunday. After Sunday, if we ain't up to par, then it is what it is. But we definitely think you're going to enjoy our content. So definitely tune in on Sunday for our live recap. So, all right, everybody, I will see everybody on Sunday following the Saints and Commanders matchup. Hail to the Commanders and peace. See everybody next time.